Greetings, this is the Grumpy Old Slan, and I'm joined by Intellectual Quandary. And today we're going to be looking at Spacewrecks, Ghost Ships and Derelicts of Space by Stewart Cowley. This is another one of the Terran Trade Authority handbooks. But before we start, IQ, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you, Slan.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me as always.
yeah.
How are
You're
you?
always welcome. I understand you had a Palladium game this weekend. Anything
Yes.
else is new?
Um, no, not really. Celebrated Eid with my family today. That's about it.
Nah, that's good. That's good. Well, let's get started, and I'm just gonna add the cover. Uh,
Oh,
Clearly
that's a
an
better
old.
cover than the other one.
Yes, it is. It is. Um, it reminds me a lot. That spaceship reminds me a lot of a jet fighter again, but this one obviously crashed and is missing pieces, and it's got a dead pilot in it too. So, no, I really like. I think that's one of the best covers in these books. Very dramatic and very evocative too.
Do you want to give them ratings like we did before?
Yeah, I think that was fun. Um, yeah, and
I think
there
this
is
is a
a.
solid 8, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, the You've got lovely atmospheric perspective with the mountains and the hint of trees and stuff in the back. It looks like it could be just on the edge of a jungle or something, of a rainforest. But the plants are a bit weird, so it's somewhere on an alien planet, maybe. Anyway, let's get into it. Uh, Another interesting one. I know this image shows up later, so we can rate it then.
Okay.
Uh, the basic text, just a little uh, in introduction, basically. This is all like the other books, they're all in the same future history. So
Okay.
now we start. And then it's like a lot of these, the text is like the story of, like in this case, the Ceres disaster. So a spaceship called Ceres and some sort of disaster that happened to it. Up The upper image seems to be that spaceship, and below there's a caption that says this was a maintenance scooter that's drifting around the dead ship with the dead crew.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Quite evocative. I like it.
yeah, yeah. Um, so I like both. I find the little spaceship with the two spacemen looks very odd. It doesn't give me the right. I don't get the right feel of scale from it. Like if they weren't the two figures, I think this is a huge ship. Uh,
Yeah, that's true. They do feel like they're a bit big or the ship is a bit small.
yeah, exactly. So, but the overall composition's nice, and with this background of what is probably maybe a star or a gas planet behind them is kind of neat. And then the other ship with the planet and the, I guess, nebulous cloud in front of it makes it a bit odd, but it's interesting. Yeah, I'd give the upper one probably a 7, just because I like the
I would
feel of
agree. I
it.
was going to say
Yeah,
7.
yeah. The bottom one I don't like as much, and I'll give it a 6. It's well rendered, everything's completely done, but it just doesn't come together quite as well.
I also agree. I was going to give that a 6 too.
Okay. Uh, so yeah. I'm not going to go too much into the stories they put because I've
Oh,
just
look
quickly
at
glanced
that.
through them, but that's a really nice one.
There's so
I like the
much you could
small,
take from just that one thing.
yeah, I like that small spaceship approaching this huge wreck, which clearly has that spaceship clearly went through hell and back. It's missing all its outer plates. You can see through it.
And you can, even if you didn't know its name was Epsilon Queen, you could probably make it out just from what's left
What?
of the lettering.
Yeah, yeah. We saw in the other books that some of the artwork was reused from elsewhere, but because of, maybe they wrote it based on what's written on the image or the other way around. I have no way of knowing, but this piece of art was made for this story. They go together, and that feels less of a reuse because of that. But I really,
Yeah.
really like this piece. And what would you give it?
I would have to give this an 8 because I like this as much as the front cover. I think this could easily be the front cover.
Yeah, I agree with that. I might go up to 8.5 because I do have a tendency to quite like this chaotic mess of the wreck that we sort of see through in the bottom left-hand side there. But they're both really good, so yeah, solid 8 for sure. Next, yeah,
It's
just a
got
little
very
black and white.
alien vibes.
This one, yeah.
Yeah.
So just a little black and white image of yeah. This is part of the
Is that a
story,
satellite?
yeah, that's a traffic control station,
Okay.
according to the caption. So it's just a little black and white image they gave to give it a bit more. Now, unfortunately, this image is ruined by the fold in the middle.
Oh,
But, hold on. I'm not sure how to. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop sharing this one because it won't let you present two as far as I can tell. But I can present. I don't know. Let me add it to the stage. So this is the actual artwork without a fold in the middle. So I don't know if you can see it now. IQ?
yeah, I can see it.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So yeah, I think it's worth showing the whole thing without this big fold that
That's so
makes you
much
miss a
better.
whole
Yeah,
bunch.
it's not ruined now.
Yeah. Um, I quite like it. I love the hint of that huge structure way off in the background. That thing must be enormous. And then
Yeah, and having the figure so close to us really gives us that sense of scale.
yeah, exactly.
Like, holy shit, that thing must be huge.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder what it
And the
is.
trees also give you a good hint. There's a whole row of them. They're very hard to see. If I zoom in, maybe you can see like they're hinted at um, giving a yeah. No, I really like this image and the little first aid kit, that didn't quite achieve its purpose since clearly the space guy didn't make it.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
clearly went through some stuff.
yeah. It's no a great piece. I really like this one, and I'm giving it a 9.
I would give it a 9 as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the other.
The ruined version.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. Hold on.
Hey, that was worth showing at its full glory.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, this image is kind of cropped. You can see that near the top we had more in the other image. It was squarer, so
Yeah.
seeing a bit more of it was nice too. So okay, so we know that was a solid 9 for me. Uh, let's go to the next one, and this is a rather odd one. We see some sort of well, you can see the title, Victims of Space, Tombs of Crystal. And if you read the text, it's like they don't understand how, but, matter in the story is basically, matter that's in interstellar space slowly accumulates as ice and then wraps itself around an object, in this case, a spaceship.
Well, it certainly does raise a lot of questions.
And I see, yeah, and welcome, Elfbait. I see you in the chat. Actually, I should
Hello, Elfbait.
copy. If you want to join us, I'm putting the link in the chat as soon as StreamYard wakes up. Yeah, so, but that's a fun one. I think the whole story in this setup reminds me of the stories of ships encased in ice in the Arctic, in the early Arctic exploration, like 200 years ago and more, when they'd have to winter over because they couldn't move. But yeah, I like this image.
Certainly does.
It's very mysterious.
Evoke a lot of questions and curiosity. It's quite unique. I can't say I've seen anything quite like it. Oh, we have an Elfbait.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Elfbait.
How's it going?
So I think pretty good. You?
I'm doing all right.
Pretty good, thanks. Good. Yeah.
So I think we're at the stage of rating the image. I'm going to give it a solid 7. I think it's mysterious, makes me wonder what that is, and why is a spaceship in this big space iceberg, and what's it made of? Because it's clearly not water ice, being like yellowy red.
Kind of looks like it's in amber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So
solid
shall we
7.
go to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we go to the next spread? And this is a continuation of the story. So this is a ship that's partially encased in ice and towed by some smaller ships.
I like this one more.
Yeah.
The ships have a very almost Gary Anderson feel to them.
Yes, they do. They do. Very colorful too, which is,
I think this one's a solid. Well, do you know what? I have to say 8.5.
Okay. Yeah. You really like that one, eh?
I'd give it about
Unfortunately, I don't have a version of it without the fold for this one. So
I have to be the dissenting voice then, because this for me is like more of a 6. I don't think the ships are overly defined, and whatever they're towing is kind of hard to make out.
Yeah. I'm not going to be as harsh as Elfbait, but I'm not going to be as generous as I was thinking a 7. So, well, what I like about it is that what's in the ice, seems distorted. Like there's refraction happening, and I think that's a nice detail that I'm willing to.
Hello, Park Punk.
Yeah, hello. I don't recall the movie poster for DEFCON 4, but that's possible. There's actually a lot of book covers where you see, essentially a skeleton inside a spacesuit. There's a whole bunch. So next we have another victim of Save, Dead Ships from Al-Kahira, and a very strange ship here.
Very interesting shape.
Yeah.
Looks like a cargo freighter of some sort.
Yeah, and I'm just going to zoom in a bit, because what might be hard to make out here is on the left-hand side, there's like some sort of weird plant-like thing growing out of the ship.
Oh, there is.
Oh no, they're being invaded by the awful green things.
Yeah, or the awful green things are growing out of it.
Exactly.
If I recall, because I didn't read that one recently, but if I vaguely recall, it was something they were carrying that just took over the ship.
Yeah, it was their cargo, I believe.
Yeah, so,
I didn't really like this one at first, but the more I look at it, the more I like it.
Yeah. I think it's not served well by being so dark.
I mean, it
takes a
does show
while
a
to
clear
make out.
structure, which I like. You've got like the crew
Yeah.
module, command module up front. You've
Yeah.
got storage tanks or cargo bays along the
Yeah.
middle. You've got a
And I
drive
could
section
see,
in the back.
yeah, I can see those cargo bays also being easily, like, you know, the whole thing can be removed and then another one can be put in, and the ship doesn't waste time in dock waiting for the stuff to be loaded piecemeal.
Yeah, it's all modular.
Yeah, exactly. It gives me a feel. Hello, Tian Tori. Well, thanks for making it.
Hey, Tian
And
Tori.
yeah, glad you won't be distracting me. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one a solid 7.5. I would give it more, but I think it is a little bit tonally too uniformly dark for us to make enough stuff out quickly enough.
Yeah, I would
So,
agree. 7.5.
Elfbait, want to weigh in?
Rating wise, it's hard for me to rate it. I can see what the ship is doing, but I don't know if it's the best execution. It's dark. It's
Yeah.
kind of formless.
Yeah.
Even though I can make out the components.
Yeah.
But I'm the worst. I'm the worst guy when it comes to spaceships. It's like I really
Don't feel
like,
obliged to rate. You can just let IQ and I do that if you prefer.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, it's
Okay.
just like I'm a harsh critic when it comes to spaceships. I like them to make sense.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to mention, and IQ is going to cringe at this, but again, the cropping, way too tight.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I agree. You need
The
to give
nose of
the
the ship
object
almost-
room to breathe.
The
Yeah.
nose of the ship almost gets cut off.
Yeah, and the tail of it touches the back and the bottom, and it's like the top is the only side that's not touched by the spaceship.
Like I feel like there's like an aerial or something coming off the nose of it that we don't get to see all of.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next spread. Yeah. This one apparently about a planet discovered with a huge amount of ruins that are clearly like this missile launcher, the remains of a huge war. Again, unfortunately, a little bit ruined by the fold. So
I really like this one.
but I
I
really
mean, it's
like
kind
it.
of uniform in color, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still really detailed.
Yeah, I like this one because you can. It really does look like something, but it also tells a story. We can tell that this is not a functioning missile silo. We can tell that it's been there a while. It's all tarnished. We kind of want to know what's going on because the world around it seems kind of sort of wastelandy.
Yeah. I mean, I could see, you know, if you're playing a Gamma World game or something, describing these weird spiky plants and other strange things growing all over the ruins of the ancients.
It seems like nature started to take over, but it hasn't quite got there yet. Like these plants in the foreground look like rocks with moss on them rather than actual plants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if this was Gamma World, somebody would probably be worshiping that thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
A bunch of talking squirrels that are all dancing around it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I really like this piece. I'd give it a solid 8.5.
Yeah,
you know,
8.5.
I like the design of the equipment. The wear and tear on it is well done, and then the story it tells is also great.
I mean, down to the sensors that are on it, it really does actually make some sense because it looks like we've got like below we've got the ground search radar, and then we've got like the guiding radar dish, the radar dish in line with the missiles themselves.
Yeah, to aim, and
to aim, and then you just got the general, like I said, the search radar. So yeah, it definitely
the base also hints at it maybe being retractable, so it can go like if the missiles are upright and can go all the way down and close up, so it's not exposed. But
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the
obviously it
missile,
didn't happen.
if you look at the arrangement of the
And,
missiles and the sensors, it looks like if they were completely upright, that they would sink down. Yeah.
yeah, and also it's hard to see because there's actually 3 missiles here, but there might
Yeah.
have been a fort that's now gone. So they deployed, they shot 1 missile, but then they got hit themselves or something before they could do anything else. So there's lots of little fun details. Like I said, a solid 8.5 for me.
Agreed.
I would give it a good 8. And even the title of the page there, I kind of like. I dig it because I can see this in a game. Because it's always going to come back to gaming.
Oh yeah.
Go to a world like this to like salvage it for weapons or components or equipment, and what if you're in a more general sci-fi game, well, our drive system's out. We need to go find one. Well, there's this world nearby.
Yeah. But even like on a Traveler game where like you go to the world of Alshane and your job is to go and retrieve some technology, that is
I mean, you could even see this in something like Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so next image. This is again part of the same story. So yeah, this is
maybe the cities that were on the planet.
Yeah. Well, if I read the caption, it does say, first sight that met the men exploring the vast desert plains of Alshane 4 was this curious group of dwellings.
Huh.
I like the
People
kind
live
of
there?
brutalist construction on those. They definitely look like something that would be made on a war world.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Very hardened use form.
Yeah. And yeah. And these bridges or whatever they are between structures, also quite interesting. It's not clear to me if they were built after or... Oh, yeah. Greetings, old geek. Greetings, dungeon minister. Yeah, it could be on a world prone to flooding. That is not...
Hello, Yog. Hey, dungeon minister.
Yeah. Somebody might have stuck a mace into the ground. That is a possibility.
I get the impression that those lines going between the structures, those give me those old like transport tube vibes that were really common back in the day.
Actually, or sorry, I'm going to zoom in a bit because it might be hard to see. But this one here seems to lead to an entrance in the building. So it might be like a rail thing or a monorail or something.
Yeah.
And
yeah, true, because there's a lot more height to that entrance that it's going through than just a tube. Yeah.
I thought it was a rope bridge, but that's just me.
Oh.
Well, when you zoom in on it, it definitely looks very much like some sort of rail, like a monorail system or something.
An elevated monorail or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monorails were a really futuristic thing back in the 60s and 70s. So.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the Simpsons episode.
Hey, I come from a place where we had one.
The dungeon minister figured it out for us.
It's the gear shift of the world.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I don't like this image as much as the previous one, but I do think there's lots of fun stuff about it, and I'd give it a good 7.
Yeah, I think a 7's a decent rating. Although I'm kind of curious about the smoke and stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
It looks like it's coming out of the one building, at least that one trail. So
yeah, at least this one trail of smoke seems to be coming out of here.
So
I'm gonna have to be that guy. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
If this is a long abandoned world, then I'm looking at like who's living there now. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, is the smoke about habitation or destruction? Yeah, that's a good question, Dungeon Minister. Yeah. Next we have, actually, I'm going to do that thing again because this book, unlike the others, had foldouts. And
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry, everyone, because I have not figured out a way to have these as part of the same PDF. Where's that window? So here it is, the image complete, which I think is worth seeing in one shot and not, because this part would fold out and you'd get this huge spread.
And it's not showing yet.
Oh, it's not showing, of course, because I'm not in the right window and I didn't add it to the stage. There we go. But I think it's worth seeing the whole image.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I really like this one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it a lot. So yeah, so up until around here, that's the book itself, and then this here's the extra fold out, you know. I think it's worth seeing the whole thing.
I do
Sci-fi
love
centerfolds. Yeah.
Semi-realistic astronaut images in science fiction. And the two guys looking through the ruins clearly are some attempt at real space kind of characters, where we have this very believable lander in the background. And if you zoom in there, it looks like there might even be a buggy or something back there. Or is that just more wreckage next to the lander?
Next to the lander.
Actually, now that I look at it more, it looks like more wreckage.
Yeah, I think that's more wreckage. Some of these might be more figures, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, it looks like there's some men standing around back there too.
Mm-hmm.
It's very reminiscent of drop ships from BattleTech and Traveler and stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. The and the dead guy here, it might actually be an alien, because the shape of that helmet and where the eyes are and stuff is very odd for a human.
Yeah, his helmet looks like it's got some sort of ornate crest on it or something.
Yeah.
Very much
reminds me of some samurai helmets, with that the horns. But that does not look like a piece of human skull down in the visor. Seems very low too.
But it's pretty typical too when you're trying to juxtapose your science fiction aliens to give them the fancy armor.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did a good job of making it look kind of human, but not quite, to the point where you're questioning it.
Well, yeah, and you look at the chairs in there and stuff too, and it's very much also, believable, furniture. So clearly, it's a humanoid. And I'm trying to look at the scale, because it looks to me like the size of the aliens may be bigger than humans. Because I'm looking at that one guy off to the left next to that chair. That chair is for an awfully wide butt.
Yeah, awful wide. And we don't see enough of the alien. We see one leg. This presumably is a knee, maybe, or just something else. Things are very oddly placed here. So
look how girthy that leg is. It's two of the human legs.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at big aliens, big spaceship here.
Yeah.
Lots of panel details, stuff I dig it too. But everything is very realistic, even in the alien ship.
Yeah, and even just the broken glass here, it's just so well textured. I mean, this is one of my favorite images in the book.
Yeah, I'm going to give this probably like a 8.5.
Yeah, I'll go all the way to 9.
Give it an 8.
I'll give it a 9. So, yeah. Oh, the chairs being for Wally humans. Yeah. And I'm going to stay on this document because, of course, on the other side, you have the next, the fold out works both ways, right? So it's on this side. I don't. I mean, still a nice image. I don't like it quite as much as the previous one. It's a bit less impressive.
Yeah, that's two of the same kind of ship there.
Yeah.
But they're kind of nonsensical.
Yeah, and these seem to actually, if you look, they're on threads. We can see tracks. There's
there's a ground vehicle.
A spacesuited guy here. So presumably they arrived here, but why does a tank need like what do you call the vertical thing on the plane now? The
stabilizer.
The stabilizer, yeah,
I mean, I could come up with some
something
bullshit for it, but
Oh, hey, I've drawn plenty of bullshit things like that too, but it's clearly like
the antennas to be wind resistant and or maybe it is a wind sensor itself. Who knows? Although based on the cockpits,
you can come up with tons of reasons. And God knows if you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the one thing I do like, even though those ships may be a little nonsensical, is I like that there are two of them and they're clearly the same kind of thing. Because so many of these images that you see in this older science fiction art, the ships are all just kind of hodgepodge all over the place, and you don't like get to see repetition of the same ship a lot.
Yeah, and it would make sense for an exploration crew to have more than one vehicle. So if something goes wrong with one, then the other one can can probably accommodate everybody, and they can make their way back to their launch vehicle. There's a lot of reasons to have multiples, or you can, if you have a third one and two break down, you can cabinalize one to fix the other, and then you have two that work. I also kind of like these weird structures. I mean, clearly this is a wreck and it's abandoned. But I like some of the hints, like this guns turret here, and the destroyed sphere, and that big spaceship there.
Yeah. So I think I'd give this like a 5.
Yeah.
I'd
give it.
You know what? I would agree. This is my least favorite so far. It's a 5.
Yeah, and I think it's not helped by being right after that other one that was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 5 is about right. It's just
you wasted the fold out, guys.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. They had to just stuff something on the other side of
it. Yeah. And again, we're going to switch to back to what we. To where we were. Hello. Why do you do this? Okay. So that's like the broken down stuff. And again, still part of the same story. We have this wrecked spaceship here. Or maybe it's more than one, because the structures in front might be different. It's not clear. They look like a different design to me.
It could be engine pods from the fighter.
Yeah, that's possible. Just the overall aesthetic feel, it feels different to me than this one. That big one in the back is very organic. The other ones seem to be much more aerodynamic.
I do think this is a better rendered wreck than the last one, even though the last one was a big fold out.
Yeah, I agree.
I give this like a 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5 sounds pretty good for me. I like the background sky too. It's quite nice. Gives you the feel that you're really on another planet, to see the sun coming out from behind a large. Maybe it's a moon, and that's the main planet. That's why it's so big in the sky. And very bright stars.
Now I have a lot of questions about this one. I'd give it like at least a 7 because if I just stumbled across that, if I was like walking on some desert or something, that'd be like really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd grant you that.
But I agree as well that the things in front do look more like modern than the thing behind.
Yeah. Or at least a different culture created them.
Yeah, different tech. Yeah. I mean, if it is a war world, we can assume that it's got wreckage from attackers and defenders.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, let's go to the next one. And yeah.
Okay,
continues.
this is
has a lot going on, but it's kind of a mess too.
Yeah, I the danger when you have a lot going on is that it's hard to coalesce into a whole. I'm again gonna go with the I really think the original image had a lot more around it that would give some of the stuff a room to breathe. Or it should have if it didn't, because this main structure here, which might have been a ship, this could be like air intakes of some sort or the exhaust of some sort. Feels like you want more
pretty
space
close to an airplane.
Could be a fuel scoop.
Yeah, because that could be wings. That's the stub of a wing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to tell what the things in the background are. I mean, are those buildings? Is that a ship oriented differently? But that also may be the intent of the artist to just kind of make it semi-abstract, or at least undefined, so you just kind of get to tell us. Your brain fills in the blanks and tells its own story.
Yeah, I'm also really curious because also the airplane like thing in the foreground seems to be within this hinted at structure, like those beams that are just like, you know, was the plane like thing inside it, and then the whole thing crashed and most of it got destroyed, but this survived because it was inside. There's a lot of interesting
maybe that was
stories.
the hangar or something.
Yeah, it could be a hangar.
Yeah, or the plane crashed into it, and that's just what's left of it.
That's true. There's a lot of interesting stories in this.
We have an open hatch, which invites us inside to find the horrors that lie within.
Yeah, by the way, Dungeon Minister, if you want to join us, I did post the link earlier to StreamYard. I think I can still have another person on.
I think you can have 4.
You can have up to 10. But
with an unpaid or?
With an unpaid, because I don't have the paid.
I don't know.
Stream enough to.
I think it's 4 or 6. I cannot remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Either way, you should be within tolerance levels if you invite one more person. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I still, there's something I like about this. And I'd give it a 6.5 because I like some of the wreckage, the way it's rendered and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with, I guess, the 6.5. Mostly holding that number by the amount of detail and specific detail that's in here. I mean, there's very much a mind towards structure. Like on the nose of that plane, I can see several holes, which are probably like missile ports. I can see what looks like a fuel scoop, or maybe even some sort of another missile bay or something like that. We got engine intakes. Yeah, I mean, we got structure. Of course, that thing could also be upside down on its back. Look at it.
Yeah. Do you know what? That makes much more sense.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there's lots of interesting possibilities in here. So certainly,
if that's the case, you'd have the engines mounted high on the fuselage with the wings kind of at the bottom. That weird scoop, the scoop of the nose would be. I mean, not you're not. If it's transatmospheric, you still need some aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Geek, do you want to join us?
Not that aerodynamics and realism ever stopped old science fiction artists, but
Yeah,
I'd
that's
give
true.
this an 8, though, by the way.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Let's go to the next one. So I'm going to zoom in a bit because it's a bit small and I feel it's...
Now, my first thoughts are this is kind of meh.
I swear that ship looks like
sorry.
it's like a Western artist's rendition of one of the Yamato ships from the later series that didn't make it to the U.S. The Space Cruiser Yamato series.
Yeah.
I mean,
it makes me think it's a submarine because of these.
What looks like bubbles and stuff like that.
It looks like a sub because of those bubbles that seem to be rising from it here and there.
Yeah, exactly. And then we also see at the place where it's
me.
getting hit, there's a bubble trail that leads up to that explosion.
It does kind of look like a submarine, yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you're seeing the bubbles rising off of it. That's very much a submarine design.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's in space to me.
No.
That's a 4, maybe even a 3.
I kind of like the design. I wish we could see a bit more of it and more clearly because it seems we're missing something near the tail end of it.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5 because it's got a clear design that you can make out.
Yeah,
it's clearly
and it's
got
a bit
structure.
dark. I do like the texture on the ship, so that'll give it a pass and like a 5.5 or 6 from me.
All right, yeah, 4, because it is a clear structure, but I don't like it. Not my thing.
Oh, great.
Later, Dungeon Minister.
Yeah. See you.
Later, sir.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think of this image?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4.
About a 5.
Yeah. Yeah, 5.5, something like that. Okay. Next.
Oh, this one's interesting.
Yeah. I think this one's quite interesting.
This looks like some sort of village.
Yeah, or a temple. Because it looks like we have hooded pilgrims in lines coming to this Stonehenge Mayan steps kind of a structure built around the base of this ancient spaceship.
Yeah,
like they thought
really
this was.
Like.
Oh, and if you look at the bottom right corner, there's a pile of skulls with a spacesuit helmet on them.
Yeah.
With like a pot next to it, so maybe it's like an offering altar, the space gods kind of thing. And it did say "Children of the Gods" or whatever it is, on the original title. But I mean, this is clearly in that theme. We've got a temple structure with pilgrims coming in, an accumulation of skulls. We can assume that's the old crew.
Yeah. And then you got to wonder, like, are those the descendants of the crew or, locals, if you will, who have started worshipping this after?
We also have some creepy space bats in the upper corner.
Yeah. And if you look, I'm going to zoom in because it might be hard to see, but there's figures in red here too.
Oh, yeah. Back around those other, in the illuminated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little
clearly
bit more
there's a lot of activity. Yeah.
You get a little bit more of that to the left, too, in that lighted section at the base. So I feel like we have a holy site built around the ancient skyship
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me personally, I don't see how it can really get much better than this. This is at least a 9 for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would give it a 9. We got to,
Yeah,
structure the ship, and then the story that we get told with this.
And then just little details like the light of the moon. You can see streams of light coming through the ship. It's just
It
some
feels
lovely
like there's
rendering
almost
there.
too much, but it's just enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we agree. This is a solid 9.
But the real question is, are the space bats a threat, or are they just there?
They're just chilling.
Yeah. Because some of the skulls, this one skull here at the bottom seems to have a beak. So could it be one of those birds? If they're birds and not bats, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, if you zoom in on those, I think now that I'm looking at it, it looks like they have tails, like ravens or something. But also, yeah, that's a beaked bird, a beaked skull, and those are very much corvids up there.
And
those
if you
are
look at the
ravens or crows.
Yeah, and that space helmet seems really big compared to these skulls.
That is true. And the skulls do not all, I mean, it could be an abstraction, but they don't all look human either, like the same race.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that we have like a Federation type spaceship where we have multiple races on it, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's possible too. No, I think this is a really good one.
Hey, maybe the space birds there are actually sentient people and they're flying into for the whatever celebration.
Yeah, exactly. They're part of the ceremony. Okay.
Well, they're just waiting to snap up any leftovers.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to zoom in because this image is small. And this, compared to the previous one, is, yeah, a mechanical one of some sort. And it's a bit underwhelming, very dark.
Yeah.
Hard to make out most details. So
it's at the top of the stairs, so I'm wondering if they're trying to imply like this is maybe inside that spaceship. Yeah, I know that the art is all kind of taken piecemeal and not really supposed to be related. But you go to this big temple, there's a giant spider robot in there, and that could have been like whatever ancient cargo droid was in there or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I find this image rather underwhelming. It's dark, hard to make out anything.
Yeah, it's like
this is a 3.
Like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah, I'd lean towards 3 also.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, by the way, this is the cover image, Alfbait. I don't know when you popped in, got to the stream, but we see more of the mountains on top on the cover, but this is basically it.
Yeah, I saw that earlier before I was able to jump on. I do like it though. It's a good. That one is a case where you have a ship that has a clear structure. It's nice and integrated in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a really good, solid wreck. So is the one down on the left, the lower.
Yeah, the one on down the left, it really also works, and it could almost be a similar model, but a different wreck of one. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because that where the cockpit is in this structure could be this, but then a bigger chunk is missing, and then it's got the high wings, just like here. Certainly, it's the same.
I just noticed Ye Old Geek's been giving his ratings in the chat as well.
Yes.
It does seem to have.
He's either a lot. Yeah. He's 6 for the last one. That's way more generous than the 3 we gave it. But there we go.
He just likes creepy spiders.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Yeah. No, I'd give these 2 solid 8s. We already gave the cover an 8.
The cover I gave an 8. The other one I'd give a 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
The cover is much more dramatic, but I still like that one. Slightly less, maybe 7.5 for me. Oh, wait, is that? Oh, that's another view of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh,
We
Yeah,
actually get a different angle.
it really looks like, if not the same, then a very similar piece of equipment. Because it's got that stabilizer at the end of a very short wing, which we don't see in the others. But yeah, these two do nothing for the old geek. Yeah, it's the gear porn that he doesn't appreciate. No, I like this one, not quite as much as the one where the ship faces us, the cover image.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a solid 7 for me.
on the image itself, I'd probably have to give it a 5, but because it's the other side of the front cover, it gives us perspective. That's probably what's giving it a 5. Otherwise, I'd give it like a 3.
Okay. Yeah, I might be rating it higher because there's a togetherness of the pieces that I like. And then
I like the way you phrase
section,
that.
Strange
These two do
Visitors, is
nothing for me.
Yeah. Well, that last one had a skull that was clearly visible, so maybe it does something for the old geek.
Yeah.
So this section is about alien wrecks that have been found.
Yeah, this is one of those designs that I get that it's alien, but it's almost, again, a little nonsensical.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell it's broken in half, but I don't see enough of it in a way that allows me to imagine what the whole thing would have been like and what. Oops, sorry.
It's pretty
And
big
what
though.
it
The
did.
lower section clearly has deck sections. If you look at that little bit of the nose that's peeled away.
Yeah, we can see inner structure of it that makes it look really big. Here too.
Yeah. Missile tubes on the top, it looks like.
Yeah. No, this one.
It looks like a train.
Yeah, we don't see enough to know. That's the problem. I think,
Yeah.
you know.
The scenery is, of course, underwhelming, but it's a desert, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the same sort of.
Yeah. I mean, this one is a 3 for me. There's some nice rendering with the airbrush here and there, but overall, I can't quite make out what this ship was like before it was a wreck, and the setting isn't even that interesting. You know, like where it's sometimes like part of the thing that was nice about the front cover image was like the silhouette of trees and the mountains in the back that really gave you a sense of place, and I don't get that here. So yeah, that's a 3 for me. I mean, the nicest thing I can say about it is I actually like the scraggly grass going in the foreground with the shadows. That's kind of well done. You know? But when you're down to doing something like, I like the way the grass has shadow on the sand is you're stretching.
No, I'd have to give this a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it.
I like it a bit more, but.
Okay.
I'm a 3 on this one.
And Ye Old Geek also gives it a 4. So I think we're pretty much all in agreement. It's underwhelming. And let me just, we're going to do this thing again because this is the next fold out.
Okay.
So please bear with me while I. Okay. So this is what it is, the full fold out. I will assume the nose of the spaceship is really there, but it's the fold in the book that hides it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I do like this one a lot. It's got
I like this one a lot
the
too.
wreckage. It's by the scale of the rocket pods, which are very Soviet-style rocket pods on the wings. Mm-hmm. That's clearly a fighter, but that took a direct hit with from the cockpit to the cockpit.
Yeah,
you can even see that it's got on the side. It's got VTOL or vector thrusting ports.
Yeah.
So this ship is very mechanically intuitive. It clearly has a structure. So I will give this one like a 7. The only problem is that there's really not much else going on here.
Yeah. Yeah,
I guess
the
7.5 maybe for the color and the technical aspects
Yeah.
of the wreckage, which is very, very detailed. If you look at this looks like the kind of wreckage you would get on something that's just been chewed up with a high rate of fire weapon.
Yeah,
As
clearly
like
aiming at the where the pilot is and stuff. Yeah, I'd give it about a 7.5 because I like the rendering on it.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a lot of the B-17 bombers you see that were just machine gunned to death.
Yes, yeah.
I'd say 7.5. It kind of looks like the Mystery Machine if Scooby-Doo and the gang went up to space.
And Yield Geek gives it a 7, so I think we're all in the same range here.
It'd be interesting to zoom in on the wreckage and see if there's any bodies in the debris back there.
Well, I'm curious what that blue light is in the background and what that is.
That's probably just generic space, because back then,
yeah,
a lot of times they would just like throw a nebula in the background so your background had color.
Yeah.
But if you scroll down to the lower right, there's some more debris to look down there too.
Or maybe it's the explosion.
Yeah. I think it's all just random debris because I don't see anything. I mean, there's nothing clearly being a space person.
No, but when you zoomed in on it, that was really cool. You could see how much detail just the individual pieces of debris have on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 7.5 is good on this.
Yep, I agree. And on the back of this, of course, we have the next spread.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I have the feeling I've seen this on a book cover somewhere.
Very Soviet design on the person.
Yeah.
The problem with I have the character on the front is this is not a good spacesuit design in any way. Like, it has flat stuff just sort of randomly. Like, we have flat stuff on the shins, but we have no real like definable knee protection or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the helmet is kind of wonky looking.
Yeah. And I'd expect whatever those boxes are above the feet to be, if they're protection devices, I'd expect them in over the knee because that's where you need the protection.
Yeah,
that looks very impractical.
Whatever the vehicle is in the background, it looks like that's crashed.
Yeah, I mean, we can see in the back there's some wreckage happening, and it's clearly half buried in sand or earth or whatever the soil there is.
Must be on an asteroid, a small planetoid, though, because look at the curvature of that horizon.
That's true.
Yield Geek says, I like the sky, that's it. 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. The ship behind is kind of nonsensical. The guy in the foreground is kind of nonsensical.
Yeah.
I would give it about, I think, a 2 or maybe a 2.5 because it does have a nice.
I feel like they tried with this one. It deserves at least a 4.
Yeah. I'd go with 4 or 5 because one thing that's good about it is the general composition, just the way the space, having most of it be black and starry sky, and then we get that feel of being on an asteroid, and there's some nice detail too. I mean, some of it, like you said, is nonsensical, but we can see the footsteps, so he clearly walked to there from the wreck, which makes me wonder, like, the wreck looks too old for him to have walked from it, that to be like a survivor.
I don't know. There's no aging on this one, like there is on a lot of the other ones. There's no real weathering it. It could be pretty recent.
But the way it's buried makes it look like it's been there for a while, to me.
Unless it nosed in.
Oh, yeah, maybe. So maybe he's like the lone survivor, but
yeah, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, overall, there's quite a few problems with this one. But yeah. So that's it for the spreads. Let me just go back again. Please bear with me, everyone. And this
So
was the
good.
last set of spreads, so we won't have to do this again. Okay. Let me just get past these. Okay. So we have here a... Oh, nice. Yeah, another strange spaceship. This one very organic looking with all these...
Doesn't look like the image shifted.
Wait, what?
The image didn't show.
No.
There we go. Now
Oh,
it
there
showed
we
up.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so dig this one. Actually, the ship,
Yeah.
despite being alien, has clear structure to it, and we also get to see 4 of the
Yeah.
same ship coming in to intercept it, which is just awesome.
Yeah. And actually a silhouette of 2 silhouettes
Actually,
of
there's
2
even
smaller
more.
ones here in the middle. 1,
There's
2,
probably
3,
there's
4,
closer, so we
5,
got
6.
at least 6 ships coming in.
Yeah, that looked like the same model.
This reminds me of the attack scene at the beginning of Fifth Element, where
yes.
they attack the Montechiwan transport.
Yeah. Also, it's weird, but you know these weird dome structures, especially in their back where they cover the entire ship. They remind me of some like the insects that cover themselves with their eggs and walk around with them.
Or the ones that make a casing out of the gravel of the riverbed and stuff.
Yes, that too. Yeah.
It's a damselfly larva, I think they're.
Yeah. The old geek is clearly confused.
But no, I mean, I think it's a good design for an alien ship because while it is clearly alien, and we have some of that, nonsensical stuff in the form language, we can still see that there are hatches, there are windows, there are hull markings, and they're repeated. Like if you look towards the stern of the ship, we have the same character that's on the right of the front of the ship.
Yes. Yeah, right over
I'm
here.
not gonna lie, I'm with the old geek on this one. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. It's just weird.
I'd give this at least a good 6, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
I think the ship is a good, solid alien ship design. Plus, we have some more concrete vessels in the front. And this is one thing that's really important when, in my experience, when you're trying to show something that's alien. The more alien you make it, the more you need to have something there to ground it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Or otherwise, it looks like you're just incompetent.
Yeah. And so while the ship itself has a little bit of concrete design in it, the other very much structured ships that are moving to intercept it, I'm assuming, definitely give it a sense of, you have those to compare and contrast. And so it kind of grounds it a little bit more. And then, it's coming into our solar system because I'm assuming that's Jupiter.
Yeah, I would assume so too. I think being perplexed at it makes it an alien ship, because I'm pretty convinced like alien technology would be somewhat recognizable, but also somewhat perplexing because of some of the, some certain things you don't have a choice about the shape they have to have for them to function, form following function. But then you can diverge greatly when the function doesn't 100% dictate the shape. So, yeah. Let's go on to the next one. And this one just has some small black and white sketches of what looks like a small shuttlecraft.
This one I definitely like because I like the very clean design.
Yeah. I actually wish these books had more of these black and white schematics in them.
The only thing that's weird to me is bit on the top. At first, I thought that was supposed to be a turret looking at the top down.
Yeah,
but if
yeah.
you look at the side of this, it looks like it's actually articulated to where
It might be a claw, and it's just in its
there's a claw there, definitely. Yeah. So yeah,
it could be a manipulator arm.
Yeah. It's a little weird because from depth, and you can see that from the top view, it looks like more like a turret. But
it looks like the turret, and then there's the
Right, that works pretty well. This is probably like a cargo shuttle.
Yeah. And it's got this to manipulate.
It's the most normal looking thing I've seen so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I really wish that these books had more of these. Just, show us the really fancy rendering, like the really nice piece of art, but then go into details of what the ships are like this.
Yeah, like the blueprints and the schematics and stuff.
More doomy skies and creepy spider things, please. Okay, there we go.
Well, there you go. There you go, geek. It's all dark and shadowy and absolutely nondescript. So
yeah, I mean
that's a 3 for me.
Yeah, I like the sky on this one to take, but the spaceship is very underwhelming. We only see a small chunk of it, and we don't really get a sense of overall shape or anything about it.
Yeah, we just get nothing about
I know I shit on the last one, but this one is so much worse.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
The ship is really more framing for the sky.
Yeah, I mean, the sky, this is another one where the composition is good, and certainly I love the sky with it looks like a galaxy with, but that's not quite enough to redeem it. And
I think Geek's just trolling us, giving it a 7.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I'd be giving that a 3, and the 3 is mostly for that galaxy in the background.
No, that's a 2.
Okay.
Might even be a 1.
Okay. Next, something a bit more.
I like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some sort of rover.
That's an ambulance, by the look of it, or
looks
at least
like it looks like it's taking off or landing like an emergency vehicle, and then there's this big black thing in the background.
That's a ship on a gantry. I bet you that's supposed to be like one of the we have modern day. We have the airport fire.
Yes.
Emergency vehicles on the so it's like a spaceport emergency, and it looks like we got a couple of flyers coming in the background.
Yeah.
That are identical ships. So, the fire crew at the spaceport.
Yeah. And, the emergency crew at a spaceport. It's kind of nice.
But yeah, the emergency vehicle there has a clear structure. We've got front lights. We've got clear markings that tell us what it is. We have a boxy back door, which is what you would have in an emergency vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the 2 little flyers are clearly some specific thing because there are 2 of them and they're the same.
Yeah. The big critique I have of this is it's like the top of the emergency vehicle could be more clearly distinguished from the background vehicle and structures, which makes it a bit hard to figure out what's happening.
I also feel like the dust effect, the ground effect underneath it is a little blah.
Yeah.
It's a little undefined. I know that it's just blowing dust, but there's a lot more you could do with it texturally. We could have some rocks or
exactly.
Some pebbles
and you could still see maybe the silhouette
potential.
Of something. Yeah, I think it's got great potential.
I'd give it about a 6.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, 6.
I think the vehicle in the front is doing all the work.
Yeah,
it is.
Everything. I mean, even the sky is kind of meh.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's a very forgettable sky. Like, okay, here's a few hint of clouds, end of story. Okay,
Some
so
simple watercolors on the sky or something.
yeah, and here we
Oh,
have
this-
another wreck. I'm gonna try and zoom in a bit. Here we
That
go.
is interesting because you can see that these two are
I think-
connected.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying you think?
It's. I think it's the same artist. Oh yeah, it is Bob Lazel. It's the same artist who did that other one that we thought maybe was the ship in the hangar that might be upside down and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I will say the ship in the background is pretty well laid out. We've got
Yes. Yeah.
we can see a form. It looks to me like we're looking at like two ships that have been grafted together to make extra, because there's not just an umbilical connecting the two of them.
Yeah.
There's some superstructure that looks like it's been added between the two.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the same ship because the one in the foreground is a different hull color.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you'd expect there to be, like the exhausts are very different too.
Yeah.
Do you remember that
though
really
I will
weird
agree with,
but
I will
amazing
agree-
tank one from last time, Slan?
The which one?
The really weird but amazing tank.
Oh yeah.
This one's giving me like that sort of vibe.
I will agree with the old geek about there's something odd about the perspective, especially on the circles. They're a bit off. Which
doesn't make sense, but that's what
Yeah.
the tank didn't make sense, but it was still cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's lots of cool stuff, and this almost seems to be like, we have a huge space, like we've had a big accident with a couple of spaceships. We've got to survive. Let's tie ourselves together, and this is a long-term survival strategy from a few ships that got damaged, and then there's tons of wreckage still floating about.
The lattice work kind of that you see around there looks like frozen fuel or water stores or something.
Yeah, that could be it too. Certainly, we see some tanks and other pieces of equipment floating about that either are now useless and discarded, but they're just floating about, and or they'll be they were brought there and eventually will be brought inside and used. Yeah, the old geek doesn't like it too much, giving it a 4. I'll be a bit more generous, give it a 6. Again, I'm going to harp on cropping. It could use a bit more space around the ships.
I was thinking like a 5 myself.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 7.
Okay. Okay, another odd one. Strange city or buildings.
Are we under the wing, or what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, clearly that green thing is a hatch with a ladder going down, which doesn't seem to be the most practical thing for a spaceship, because I would assume you can't always land with, get out of the ship without a spacesuit, and ladders aren't the easiest thing to navigate in general. But
this is very abstract.
Yeah, it's
the background structures are kind of nondescript.
Yeah.
The ship's design is kind of just, it's more a matter of the form.
Yeah, the ship actually looks like a 2-dimensional shape for the most part to me.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm going to get this cool shape happening and give it a bit of a render to make it vaguely look 3D-ish, but yeah. This one doesn't do very much for me.
Yeah, I'd give this like a 3.
Yeah, same here. In fact, it's giving itself a 3. it's given itself a 3, 0, 3 on the hull. Okay. Oh yeah, looks like chess pieces. Yeah. Vaguely.
Oh, they do
Okay.
actually a bit.
What? Yeah, they do, right? Okay, this is the next one. Some sort of strange, very big ground vehicle on a
Look at
forest
all
planet.
this
You see two
flora.
guys in spacesuits in
Are
front and
those
a few in the
tracks
back.
on the feet, or is that just landing gear? This is some sort of big square landing ship.
Yeah, it's not clear. So the caption reads, during the early stages of settlement, colonists often lived and worked in protective vehicles.
Okay.
So
it's like like a sand crawler kind of thing going on
yeah.
here with the sand.
Yeah. Or like you said, because a vehicle could be just, it's landed and they live in it until they set stuff up.
I do
love
like
this,
our wildlife.
Yeah. I love the strange plants and wildlife in the foreground. It's
very Cambrian.
Yeah. Very much.
It looks like
this one's probably one of my favorites, you know. It's very...
Okay.
No, oh, okay. This one's probably one of my favorites. It's very like fantastical and it feels almost real.
Mm-hmm.
So that figure to the left in the foreground, in front of the ship, looks like he's spraying something.
Yeah. Ye Olde Geek is channeling psilocybin, his druid character, and commenting on the mushrooms. So for those who don't know, who are here in our OSC game, one of his characters is a druid called psilocybin, and he's always off mushroom picking. I like the big trees in the background, just hinted at. Really gives you the feel this is a clearing in a very large forest. And
I will say this though, with the general just regular greenery, the lawn, the branch in the front and the trees in the back, this looks like one of those things where they take the thrift store painting and then add fantastical elements on top of it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was actually done that way because the trees are very earthy.
Yes,
very
they are.
like trees, and that branch in the front is like, and there's even an actual squirrel there on that branch.
Yeah.
And then we have all these strange alien plants.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm wondering if the story they formed for this was not what the artist had in mind, because if I was to look at the artist's thing, it almost looks like, especially with the guy spraying the thing, that these guys are cleaning up like an alien infestation on Earth.
Yes, that could be it.
Yeah, we got all these pesky Cambrian plant forms on here, life forms on here, and that squirrel's going to get himself in trouble. We're going to start spraying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, your problem. You got an infestation of alien life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I really like this piece overall, though. It's fun, interesting.
You give it a 6.
Yeah, 6.5 for me.
Oh no, this is a 9, bro.
There's definitely something, and that's the thing. I do like that the ship, which is the body, the mainstay of the image, looks like it does something.
Yeah. Well, I like the foreground, middle ground, background composition too, and the little figures way near the vehicle and that box that's at the bottom of the ramp gives us a good sense of scale of how big that thing is. Yeah. Okay, let's go to Geek gives it a 4, so with IQ's 9, that's an average of 6.5. So yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, so just a little star map here to go with the story, but this one's gonna get a high rating from the Olde Geek, I believe. So we have a spaceship that's crashed.
This is creepy enough for you.
Yeah, with all these big spider webs all over the place.
He's going to give this an 11 or a 12. Watch.
Yeah. He's got to have that extra push over the edge.
For some reason,
And he's going to... Oh, he gives it a 10. Yeah.
I do like
Yes.
the wreckage is nice and detailed again, kind of like the one.
Yeah. I like... And you really get a sense of the corrosion of the metal and stuff, which I like. I wish we saw it a little bit more clearly. It seems a bit dark. And I'd like to see more of the detail that's hinted at where it's lighter. But yeah. And it'd be interesting to see one of the spiders. Now, in the narration, those spider web-like structures are actually plants. They're not created by animals. How plants would grow that way, I have no idea, but there you go. But yeah, I like that one. I'd give it a 7.
Very Halloween-y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7 too.
Let's go to the next one. Wait. Oh, no, there's another spread. I missed this one when I was prepping. I'm sorry, guys. Because this is clearly, I mean, what we see here on the left is clearly the rest of this image, just, clouds and stuff, which actually makes me like it more because I can imagine the composition of it.
Okay.
It makes it less symmetrical, and the ship in the middle, it just off-centers it, And then, luckily, there's not much here happening, so we can still get a good idea of this shipwreck.
It's interesting as we see that the same kooky ground vehicle with the stabilizer again.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same vehicle again.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our same astronauts.
Yeah.
Visiting elsewhere.
And then you have this weird iguana-like animal in the front.
Yeah.
Oh no, not the fucking lizards.
Yeah. I don't like this one quite as much as the others. I'd give it a 6.
Yeah, it's not doing a lot with the amount of real estate the ship takes up on the image.
Yeah, I have a feeling from this point of view where we're sort of underneath the ship, I don't get the feeling it's looming over us the way I would probably feel. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever walked underneath an airliner's wings, but you really feel like it's looming over you and it's going to come and crush you. And I don't get that feeling here, and I would expect to get that.
Yeah, true.
The Old Geek gives it a 5, and I think 5 or 6 is around right for this one.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4.
Okay, and here we have 2 wrecks. I mean, presumably they're starships. It's hard to tell. They're certainly enormous if I judge from the.
That's a tree. That's like a jungle.
Those trees, like the forests you see silhouetted on the bottom there. Those things are huge. They're very hard to make out as to what their actual structure is like. For me, anyway. The green one looks very flat to me. I have a hard time making out the 3D, like how it fits in 3D space.
Those are both 2 really just nondescript spaceships they're just big chunks of color that say spaceship, and we get panel lines, so we know that they're mechanical. Or we don't even really get panel lines as much as we get different colors of.
Yeah, it reminds me of. Remember when they experimented with camouflage on the old World War II battleships, and they painted all these abstract. Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of Dazzlecam.
The tassel pattern, yeah. That's the problem. Is that the ships really don't have any sort of any form language that tells us what they look like before they were released.
Exactly. So yeah, Geek gave this one a 3, and I agree with him.
Yeah.
The bottom, the misty forest, is great. So if we were to crop this to see only the bottom, 10-15% of the image, would be a nice little panorama, but it would have no subject matter. so yeah, 3.
Yeah, I agree. 3.
Okay. Well, this is a more freshly crashed ship because it's still on fire, I think.
Yeah, I get the impression too that what we're looking at is a jettisoned cockpit module.
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
we have the little servals on the back, but those don't look like engines.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, where it's really wrecked, that's where I would expect flame to be, not on, so fire might be behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the design of the I'll call it an escape pod because that's what it looks like it might be.
Yeah. Or you have a ship where the whole command module knows of it, jettisons, and is the escape pod or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Compositionally, though, I find it's the fire is confusing as to is it supposed to be itself on fire, which doesn't make sense. The flames look like they're very big and very far, so I think they might have been better. They would have been better moved off further right, so we see what it is that's burning.
Yeah. Or at least maybe even add some fire elsewhere onto the ship. Overall. Like add some fire elsewhere on the ship to where it looks like we can tell that it is actually the ship that's on fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see Geek gives it a 6. Yeah, I like the pod's design, so I'll also give it a 6, in spite of the other problems with the image.
And the fire is really well painted. I will give it that.
There's some lovely rendering. These rocks in the foreground, the sky has some interesting stuff, and certainly the smoke and the flames are really well done.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good texture to it.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah, 6 is fair.
Yeah.
Look, generic space.
Yeah. Yeah, not much to say about this one. I mean, it's colorful. It's nice for what it is. There's a whole field of art, space art.
Yeah.
I much prefer space art that focuses on real places. A space artist that'll tell me this is how I believe Jupiter will look from one of its moons, and that's much more interesting than this generic lights in space and spheres floating around and stars, which
That is absolutely true.
What's missing here is something to grab my attention,
Exactly.
So yeah, it's well rendered. I'll give it that. So I'll give it a 4 because of this, but it's missing something to be complete as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, 4 is fair.
So the graveyard of Beta Pavonis, and speaking of more realistic space art, that's a really nice rendering of the space shuttle. And this book came out in 1979, so the shuttle design was well advanced. We knew what it was going to look like for the most part. It hadn't flown yet, but
I find this one really interesting because it looks like we have spaceships of different eras in this.
Yes.
Because we've got the shuttle and what looks like a slightly more advanced real space kind of a ship.
Yeah.
We've got like a flying saucer.
Yeah.
And it
And
looks
this
like
weird crystal piece in the right-hand side.
yeah, and then up at the upper, there's a whole bunch of different ships. Because if you zoom in on like little bits, there's like a Delta Wing looking one.
Yeah.
And then we've got what looks like, almost like jet engine type thing.
Yeah.
Kind of
And
just
this
left.
actually looks like some actual rockets had like tanks tied around it like that.
Yeah.
And then there's this big sphere-like thing where we can barely make out where the engines are here in the back.
Yeah.
And then we've got a couple of 3 spacemen approaching the shuttle, maybe trying to salvage something. I mean, it's the title of this is The Graveyard of Beta Pavonis. I'm thinking of like, the way ships, wrecked ships sometimes would all float to the same area and end up on the same beach in space. There's
because there's even when you were zoomed in, you could see there's another crystal ship in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, there's lots of fun stuff in this one. I like it. I like it a lot, and I really like the realism of the ships. That the fact that the shuttle and that other ship looks so realistic just makes me think, well, these other ships really look like that too in real life.
I would give this an 8. The crystal ship is even fun because whatever's in the crystal ship is painted differently depending on the light refraction on the surface.
Yeah.
But it's got a good transparency to it, a believable transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I give it a solid 8.
Yeah, solid 8.
And next, this one doesn't do too much for me. Seems to be like a launch platform of some sort.
I do not like this one. That ship is doing nothing specific. No. It's this like random form language that doesn't.
Yeah. It's a Cubist spaceship. That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah, it's just like you got angles going off in whatever angle the guy wants.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to have.
It's literally a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Just cobbled together. Yeah. I think 2 is about what it feels like it should be.
Yeah, even the planet that it's over is just a lot of nothing.
I mean, the nicest. I'm going to zoom into what I think is the nicest thing of it, and it's that small ship here. Which, if you zoom in, you if it's out,
you can see that.
You get like the feel for. Oh, this is cool. Obviously, zoomed in, you see just the rendering, but that's the nicest thing about it, and that's what brings it up to a 2 for me.
The space is uninteresting. The planet's uninteresting. The space station or ship or whatever that is just complete nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
The most structured thing is the tower at the center of it.
Yeah,
and even that's just kind of cobbled together.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's go to something more interesting, hopefully. Oh, another one of these schematics.
Designs.
Yeah. This one, I don't know, maybe it's taken from that pod that we saw that was burning.
Yeah, and it's cool because we can see that pod is a universal module. It's a universal command module.
Yeah. Neat. That's kind of fun.
I dig that.
That's a fun concept. Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. I mean, clearly this isn't helped by us missing probably like an inch of the image in the middle, but it's
So my initial thought is a lot of random nothing until I look at the smaller ships around the center ship, and they're clearly repeats of one another.
Yeah. And one of the things, like, this doesn't help because of the fold. I have the book, and you really do see if that
this one feels a bit squashed.
Yeah. And you can see the whole, like, there's a half of sphere missing here. You can just see that little white thing here that's the rest of that sphere. So we can see just how much is missing here.
That's unfortunate, but that's even still though that central ship is kind of bodged together.
Yeah, seems like a kludge of something. And I'm not in love with the asteroids, the way they look. I like those small ships. The
small ships look like pigeons.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
Space pigeons.
But
Pidgeonian Empire.
I'm gonna give this one a 4. I don't like it too much. I might have given it more if we saw all of it, but I don't get the feeling.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I don't like the nothing that is that central ship. The asteroids are blah.
Yeah.
The only thing really saving it for me is the repeat of those ships, the smaller ships, and they're still kind of eh.
Yeah.
This one, it feels a bit squashed. It feels like there's not enough. The framing's off.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it feels also kind of cartoony.
Yeah, I could see that. So,
I mean, looking at it, I think it's supposed to be some sort of cobbled together ship made out of pieces of other things. We've got exposed mechanisms with different color schemes.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely like maybe a space pirate or space scavenger kind of ship.
Yeah. Like they attached this thing here and they sort of like peeled back some of the
you could even see
for the structure to come in and hold it together.
You can even see like the guy lines going from the front module to the rear module. Those thin strip, like it's being held together.
Yeah. I like the idea, but I think the execution of it in this case is lacking.
Yeah, I get the impression that the central ship is not wanted, like it's a raider kind of scavenger thing, and those are like patrol ships trying to engage it because there's clearly some weapon fire going off that front turret on the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, but the old geek gives it a 3. We're not much more generous. So let's move on. This is okay, some sort of weird ship. I'm not sure what it's doing.
It looks industrial to me, like it's collecting something.
Yeah. I find all these planets and moons are too close together.
Yeah.
And overall, it's not doing much for me. And I'm going to give this. I'm also going to give it a 3.
I give this a 2.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 2. It just doesn't feel like it would ever work in any conceivable universe to have those that many objects that close together.
Yeah, and the ship itself doesn't even seem to do anything. It doesn't make sense. It's got a huge hole gap in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's just not. I get a nonsensical spaceship.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. This one seems to be a view from like a cave or something with stalactites, and we see
like
this
you're one
ship
of the
arriving.
Watching the ship land.
Yeah, exactly.
But the ship is meh. It's like a queen from a chess set.
Yeah. With like the Apollo modules tacked at the bottom. I was gonna say it looks like a stretched out Apollo module, and then, but yeah, I think the queen from a chess set is really what this is.
I mean, it even looks like it has a crown at the top.
Yeah.
This is like a 2.
I'm not very fond of the cave. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a cave with major stalactites, but that is not at all what they look like.
No.
They feel too squat. The old geek gives it. I don't know if it was the previous one or this one.
It's the previous one because it was
previous one.
Planets.
Yeah. No, this one I'm not very fond of either. This one I'll give it a 2.
I'd say 3.
Okay. Hopefully we have something better coming up. Oh no, I don't know.
I don't know about that. That's
Yeah,
a 0.
Same category as another one.
Yeah, that's another.
A do nothing ship with too many
Yeah.
spheres on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. The planets are a bit better than 2 images ago.
That's a
At least
0.
I get
That's the worst image in the book by far.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's like I'll give it a 2 because I like the rendering on the planets compared to the 2 images ago, which they just look like flat circles. But yeah, that's not a very good image. Let's hope they can finish up. We're near the end, and let's hope they have some good images to finish, because that'll be a bit of a downer. So
that's not much.
Yeah, that's not much. It's like weird to see the planet on fire.
That ship almost looks steampunk.
Yeah, it does. With all these
could it be a meteor?
No.
No,
it looks like there's burning atmosphere off of it. The atmosphere's burning off of it.
Yeah, it's not too clear. I think that ship in the foreground could be interesting if we could see more detail, because it's almost a silhouette. You know?
Yeah.
I wish I could see more, because it almost looks like somebody just stuck a whole bunch of stuff together, tied it up with rope, and soldered some of it together, and there it is, and stuff sticks out at random. Because that's going to be another 2 for me.
Yeah, at 2, and that's only because the planet is pretty interesting, and the texture on the ship implies something pretty cool, even though it does look steampunky.
Yeah, 2.
Okay. Well, the old geek, he quite likes the fiery planet, and the ship is more to my liking than the angular ones, so he gives it a 7. I can see why people don't like the angular ships. They sometimes really don't work, and I like the idea of that ship with all these complex, very steampunky type construction, but I wish I could see it better.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's actually the end of the book. We have the cover image, but without any text covering anything up, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
And I'm going to repeat my solid 8 for that one, because I like it so much.
Solid 8.
Yeah. And I think a good choice for the cover of the book.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna try and get people to pick it up and look, and it's all at the time, especially for a book titled Spacewrecks.
Yeah, it's a good cover. Makes people want to pick it up, I think, because there's a story there. All right, so we've come to the end of the book. That was another good look at a fun Terran Trade Authority handbook. The third one so far that we've done. Probably so next week, Elfbait, I'm assuming we're going to be playing our By the Sword campaign.
Yes.
And then in 2 weeks, IQ, I should have finished the translation of the next maze from Jeux et Stratégie, so we'll be able to do that in 2 weeks.
Excellent.
Okay. So thank you very much, both of you, for being here.
I guess
fun. Time to shill your channel to the 2 people watching, one of whom we know very well, the other one who is a mystery because he hasn't chatted. Yeah, it's all the old geeks since for the past, I don't know, I'm scrolling up. I think since the Dungeon Minister had to go. Though it might actually be Terry. She said she'd be lurking, and Tori said she'd be lurking because she she was busy with stuff, so maybe it's her. In any case, feel free to show your channels.
My channel is Elfbait, and if you're one of the few people watching this right now, you probably know it already. So I stream on Sundays, and I run a live stream game every other Monday.
IQ?
Intellectual Quandary. I do video game stuff. Check it out if you're interested. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for being here, and we're going to end the stream on this. This has been the Grumpy Old Slan, and we've been looking at Spacewrecks, Ghost Ships and Derelicts of Space, one of the Terran Trade Authority handbooks. Thank you for being here, everyone. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Bye.